welcome to the Art of Hobbiness. I'm Erin, joined by my lovely co-host, Tam.
Woo!
Yay. Today we're chatting with a special guest, Mallory Ruth, and she's a fitness coach, a mom, a stepmom of 6, which is a feat in itself, founder of the Energy Collective, which is an online community helping women in their 30s and 40s, building lasting, healthy habits through movement, mindset, and connection. After years in the corporate world, Mallory realized she was chasing success, but losing connection with herself. So she made a huge pivot, leaving corporate to focus on wellness and helping other women do the same. We are so excited to talk to her today. Welcome, Mallory.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are so excited to have you today. We definitely want to talk about what you're currently doing, the Energy Collective and your fitness coaching programs. But before we dive into that, would you give our listeners just a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah. I think you kind of snowballed me in here. But, so I am 39. I turned 40 in March. And, I think a lot about the last decade. I feel like I have probably had the most growth in my 30s that was unexpected. I came into my 30s newly divorced and with 2 kids, living in the corporate world. And kind of like you said, just like feeling lost and, at a spot in my life where, most of my friends hadn't even gotten married. And here I was like divorced with 2 kids going like, who the hell is going to want to date me? Like, and just being really good at a job in the corporate world and not loving it. And having a moment at my desk at the end of the year, like 1 December, I was in sales. So, a lot of things that I did at the time were very like quarterly based, annual based. And it was like a moment at my desk of like, here we are at the end of another year, just in the same spot, not really making any big moves, not really loving who I am. Like I was a mom of small kids. Now they're of course older. I was just running everywhere and always overwhelmed and always stressed. And I saw a friend of mine posting this thing about working out, and I was never consistent with working out. I thought I was. And then after I started this 80-day program, was like, oh yeah, I was actually not consistent at all. I would like go to the gym a couple days a week and then maybe like one day and then be off for a couple weeks or whatever. But it was the first time in my life at, 31, 32 that I was following through on things, and it felt really, really good. I was waking up at like 5 a.m., which I don't even wake up at 5 a.m. now, but at the time, small kids, wild commute, like it was the only time I had for myself to wake up and do it. And so I did. And I kind of went through this 80-day workout or 80 workouts over the course of like 13 weeks. And it helped me develop a few things. One, like a rhythm in my day that felt good, that didn't feel overwhelming, and a real recognition that I thought I had things together and I really didn't, and just adding a couple things to my day in the morning made such a big difference for me, of like reading a few pages of a book, maybe a leadership book, or like literally any of these behind me. And getting a workout in, it felt really good. And, I grew up a competitive athlete. I grew up playing soccer and running cross country. Club soccer in St. Louis is like wildly competitive. And, kind of lost touch with that athletic side of me and found it again working out. And I loved it. And I wasn't, trying to get playing time on the field. I was doing it for me and committing to something, following through. And I just became obsessed. I became obsessed and wanting to feel like everybody should be doing this. Everybody should like commit to something, whether it's 5 days or 10 days or 21 days, and keep those promises to yourself over that time. And you will feel so good. Like it feels really good doing things for yourself, more so than it feels like telling somebody you're going to do something good for them and following through. You're like, God damn, like I did this and it feels really good. And that was about 8 years ago, And so over the first few years of me working out and doing that, I kind of started this side hustle of online fitness community. And in 2020, I left corporate world and just started doing it full time, and was able to have the time to really build my community and grow from there. And I will say, like, have you guys ever listened to the Call Her Daddy podcast?
Yeah.
Well, I just watched her. She has this special on Netflix. It's like Call Her Alex or Alex Cooper.
Yep.
And I connected with her on so many things. Like she was a competitive athlete. She played soccer. She played soccer in college, like really awesome. But she was like a girl's girl. She was a team player. And I don't think I grew up a girl's girl. I think I grew up really insecure and like jealous by nature. I'm like the oldest sister. So, oldest sister, couple kids in the house. And I really had to work at having good girlfriends. I didn't have like that one best friend growing up. I didn't have that like close knit circle well, first of all, middle school sucked for me. I moved in middle school. So never going back there again. And I had a terrible haircut. Like, God, seventh grade,
all relate
that
to that.
haircut is like the actual word.
Changes your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And so even like when I started my fitness thing, I had to do a lot of work on like, how do I build these relationships with females? Like I'm not good at it. And it stemmed from me being really, really insecure, and like all that growth I've had in my 30s, I had to work really, really hard on. And the more I've worked on myself, the more I've been able to really develop actual relationships with females. And I've always been envious of those girls that like go on the girls trips and like have their girl gang. And I'm like, man, I want that. And the problem was like always me. Like, I don't say that in a bad thing. I say it in like insecurity for me stemmed in like being really shy and not knowing what to say and always thinking people were mad at me or like why didn't I get invited, like victim stuff. And I think these last few years are really leaning into like me and what I'm good at and what I like, and also connecting with other women that have felt the exact same way. It's made me feel like far less alone because I'm actually making like real connection with other women. And I've recognized like, oh man, I'm not the only one. Like there are a ton of women out there that have struggled in the exact same ways I did. I'm not on this island with like.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that we can, me and Tam can definitely relate to that, and all of our listeners can too, because we're all about the same age. And we found the same thing through our community. It's just we're all, there's something that happens when you approach like late 30s, 40s, where you start to reevaluate your life. And it sounds like one thing I really appreciated about that I've kind of looked up with your Energy Collective, it's not just a fitness coaching business. Like you really truly dig into like the mindset and the community. And I think that it shows, like your confidence shows, and like how you're so positive about it. And you truly care about like the people that you're helping. And I think that that's probably testament to your success. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's the Energy Up Collective.
Oh, Energy Up. I'm sorry. Energy Up Collective.
No, that's okay. And funny enough,
I
totally stole that from my husband.
Oh,
because he would always say like Energy Up, like, how are you doing today? Energy Up, Energy Up.
Oh, interesting. I love that.
As I was like, sitting on the sofa one day, like, what am I going to call this group? Like, what do I call us? Like, I don't want to, I love like gold sparkly things, but I grew up like kind of a tomboy and pretty athletic. And I like, I don't want to say like masculine energy, but I wanted something that would not be so feminine and like fluffy. And so he was like, we should just call it the Energy Up Collective. And I was like,
brilliant.
Clever. Yeah.
like feeling it. I'm like, actually it works really, really well. Especially like, I don't know how old are you guys?
40.
39.
40 and yeah.
Yeah. So like something happens somewhere around mid 30s. You're like, why is it so hard? Why am I so tired all the time?
Definitely.
Truly.
It's different. Caffeine hits different. I gave up alcohol because I just felt like trash the next day. Like just hits you differently. So it is about like good vibes and good energy and like keeping your energy up through movement and nutrition and all of that.
Yeah, actually have a lot of questions now because you unpacked like a lifetime
Yes.
of personal honesty and growth that I just find incredibly endearing, and that I find myself in you. And so I really appreciate you having that vulnerability to put that out there. One of the things I kind of want to circle back to is you talked about like what your hobbies were before you kind of turned into an adult, essentially, and got into corporate world and did those corporate things. And then you talked about kind of how you started to break from that corporate mold. Like, it wasn't because you weren't good at your job. You were really good at your job. It just wasn't fulfilling you the way you wanted to be fulfilled. And so you started looking for outside, hobbies and interests. And what I found interesting is it almost sounds like you kind of tapped back into, young you. Do you feel like there's any healing that's come with any of that tapping into the fitness community now that plays back or calls back to prior to you being an adult, really?
I think so. I mean, I feel like, I got married really young. I got married and I was pregnant. I got married at 24 and I had another baby a few years later. So I was just navigating like the hard and grind of being a young mom and commuting and like all, wake up, eat breakfast, get the kids ready, rush to where I just rushed everywhere. Like all I was doing was like rushing here, and I was always late, like habitually late. My daughter will even tell you like she hated when I was bringing her to school because I always like walked her in late. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like that's one of your core memories.
Right.
I'm like, oh God. And I'm not anymore. But you're just trying to survive, and after you're in it for a minute and you kind of find your rhythm, your brain has this capacity to like, just like keep things that were going and create the space for what will serve you and like what serves your soul, and for me, I grew up in Portland, Oregon. And before we moved here, moved around, like bopped around a little bit, but like grew up mostly elementary school in Portland. And it rained every day there. My mom hated it, but it's like, I love being out in the woods. I love the rain. I love like Portland rain. It rained literally every day. Like it was just misty all of the time. And I grew up playing soccer, and there's something like when you're a kid, you're not worried about any and all of the things. And you obviously like, there were no cell phones.
Right.
But I don't even know if I recognize that going back to the kids stuff is what was healing me. But I think you're right. It's just recognizing that joy that I used to find as a young kid, just being out in nature and not paying attention to the world. I just held a women's retreat this past weekend, and it was incredible because our phones were down for a few days, and we were out in the woods and we were hiking and we were being outside. And it's like just having the space to not deal with your everyday stuff is healing, where you're like not in the thick of it and you are like, your mind wanders, like going on a walk without listening to a podcast, or like you have shower thoughts because you're not in there listening to anything, or like when I'm driving in the car, I'm not listening. I very rarely listen to stuff in the car. Also, very rarely I'm in the car by myself. Like there's always like soccer practice, whatever. But so I think I find like my quiet zone of just like letting my mind wander, I think is what is actually healing. And I find that through being outside and hiking and, just doing a whole lot of nothing.
So like going back to talking about like kind of like your transitions that you presented for us, you called back to the healing that you had as a child. But I also noticed that when you started going and finding that 80-day fitness thing, you were kind of starting to put the little tidbits of prioritizing your actual creative interests first. And you were a mom at that time. How did you find the time to prioritize yourself in those little moments that you had in between being a mom and still a corporate person?
Yeah, I feel like the only time I had then was early in the morning.
Okay.
And when you're a young mom, that sucks because you're exhausted. Like like the last thing you want to do is sleep less. But I also loved me a good glass of wine at night. And what got me to stop drinking wasn't I wouldn't like recognize like that I had a issue at the time, but it was like, okay, if I'm not drinking like a single glass of wine was like a morning ruiner for me. So I'll just not drink the glass of wine at night. And it made that getting up in the morning suck a little bit less so I could do it, you know? And it just became like a non-negotiable for me. And often I used to work out in my bedroom. I had a huge, this house was built in the 80s. I don't even know why our bedroom is the ginormous size that it is, but it's like the size of like I have an extra bedroom in there. So I have my weights up there and I would record like clips of workouts to try to like share and encourage other people to do it. So I joke sometimes, I'm like, who remembers the workout in the bedroom days? But you know, my son would be in there and he'd wake up early and he'd come in there and it's like, it just became something that was like, it was going to happen. And I will say, I tried being an afternoon workout person, but I'm just not. I would dread it all day still to this day. If I'm like, oh, I'm just going to work out this afternoon. No, it's like, I will do it and I will bitch about it all day. I'm just like, man, I just want it done because I know it feels good.
I think you do a really good job of being very self-aware. I feel like you've made several notes about how you've just reflected on yourself periodically through your transition and your journey. Do you do any like journaling in doing that? Or is this a lot of just like internal growth that you're just like recognizing in yourself and just pursuing it based off of how it makes you feel?
Yeah, I journal every day. I mean, I probably pull out my journal every day in the morning and often in the afternoons or in the evenings. And my journaling style has changed. You know, I used to say that I hated journaling and I wasn't a good journaler, but it was just because was like so overwhelmed with what I was thinking. And then it shifted into me journaling to like get out what I was thinking. And then I would like reread it. And it's just a whole lot of like complaints of like, this is hard and this sucks. And like, oh, I'm so tired. And I had a business coach one time share a journaling practice with me. And it totally changed the way that I journaled and the way that I approached just like what I was reflecting on and what thoughts I was getting stuck on. And just thinking about like, we can never control what our first thought is, but we can always control the second. So if we're having a thought, it's in my nature to just like run with it and spiral, you know, and there's the science behind it of like your reticular activation system in your brain of like, when you say something is true, your brain will like do all of this work to prove that it's true. Yeah. And you're like, oh God, I'm like not so cute today. And it's like, look at your hair and look at whatever, or, you know, so it became a practice of looking at what I journaled and circling everything that was not a fact, where it was like, this is so tired, or this is so hard, or I'm so tired, or what this is whatever. And I was like, well, look for evidence and the things that are opposite of that. Like, show me evidence the opposite is true. Or, you know, I work a lot in health and fitness space, you know, so a lot of times the conversations I have with my clients are like, this isn't working. You know, you stepped on the scale, you've been working your ass off for 3 weeks, you get on the scale and you're like, why did it go up? Like, I am doing all of the things and we just are like, this doesn't work. Why am I wasting my time? You skip a workout, you might snooze the next day, you know, where it's like, where if you stopped and you're like, hold up a second, I'm on day like 24 of my cycle. Like, this is how it's going to be. And then if just like calm down a little bit, like look for the facts. It kind of stops you, you know, because the thoughts that we have are going to be indicative of how we're feeling. So if you can control what that thought is or be intentional with what your thought is, then you can be a little bit more intentional of how you're feeling and it stops the spiral a little bit. Now I still have my moments. I still
as we all do.
Spiral, you know, and sometimes I'm like, just tell me I'm pretty. Like, I just need you. I'm awesome today. You know, like I have my moments, but I have far fewer of them and I can usually pull myself out of it pretty quickly. But I will also say my favorite journaling prompt that I do it every morning is I am in the process of becoming someone who, And it changes, like I'm in the process of becoming someone who has a really active, engaged fitness community, or I'm in the process of becoming someone who's earned $1 million, whatever it is, you fill in the blank. And that reticular activation system in your brain is like, yeah, you are. And it just starts listing off all of the things that you're already doing, like real factual things that you're doing. And it creates momentum because you feel good in your body, And I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling down or sad or depressed or shameful, like I like cocoon up and I want to do nothing and like put on my hoodie and watch Game of Thrones and like ignore everything. But when I'm like, yeah, I am doing it, it gets me. That's how you create momentum.
Yeah.
It's by reminding yourself the things that you're doing. And I know you mentioned something about being reflective. It's something I do every week. Like I'm really intentional on Sundays of I was saying like I'm a goal-oriented person. It sounds so cheesy, but it's like I just know what I want and where I'm going. And when you can get really clear on that, it allows you to reflect like on the last 7 days and ask yourself, like, what did I do this week to move that forward? Or, what did I do that was a disservice? Did I snooze? Did I skip a workout? Did I ignore the message? Did I like whatever? And kind of picking up that week forward and just asking yourself, like, what can I do? What's one thing I can do this week to make this better? What's something I did last week that I'm going to pick up and repeat this week to continue going forward? And it's like, that's it. It's not some big fancy thing. I sit down for 5 minutes and I'm like, okay, great. So that when I sit down at my desk on Monday, I'm like, we're good. Like we're feeling good. That's how I used to hate Mondays.
Yep. Sunday scaries, right?
A real thing. And
Yeah.
by the way, like nobody talked about Sunday scaries when I was having them, like having
really? Yeah.
unable to sleep. I had the worst sleep when I worked in advertising sales. Like the worst. I sleep awesome.
That's amazing. Well, you just gave us like a whole bunch of tips for all of our listeners. And I love that. Like all the things you're working on, you clearly like really focus on not just the physical aspect, but the mindset too. One question I had was when you first start working with a client, say they're middle age like we are, and they maybe are just getting started. What's like the first piece of advice that you'd give somebody to get that momentum going?
I usually, before I give advice, I kind of like figuring out where they're at right now. Like, why are you here? Like what has happened that you have made a decision that you're like, and today's the day. And often I find we've gotten to a point that we just don't like how we feel in our body, or we don't like the direction that we're heading, and we just want something to change. And so my first piece of advice is usually for you to ask yourself, like, when it was working for you, why was it working? Was it because you had no kids and you could go to the gym? Then, okay, like, let's find a short workout, like let's find something that can like fit in your wildly busy schedule. Or is it like, what's a support like in your life? So if you're coming to me, it's usually because like, I don't know often, like I've met people on social media, but I'm past the point where like friends and family are joining me, and it's people that I'm meeting on social media. So it's like, if you're coming to me, that's telling me you probably don't have an awesome support system at home. So let's help you with that, right? Like, how can we get you connected to people and things that will support what you're doing? And so it's more of a conversation necessarily than like one piece of advice. But if I were to give you a single piece of advice after we've been working, it's usually to track what you're doing after you've gotten started, so that when you get to the end of the week and you're like, I've gained 4 pounds or whatever, it's like, okay, let's look at this. When we say we've done all of the things this week, how many days did you work out? What was your nutrition like? How was your sleep? Where are you at in your cycle? Getting really specific data so that when you're looking back, it takes the emotion out of your progress, and it's giving you like tangible things, so that as you're planning that next week, you're like, okay, actually, I did skip a workout, and I did go out with the girls last night. So like maybe that's why the scale was a little like oopsies this morning. So it's it's being like creating awareness for you so you can be like brutally honest with yourself. And I swear, the more honest you are and the more that you track, the less emotion you feel towards the results that you're getting or you're not getting.
You've brought up a couple of buzzwords that I personally have resonated with me, because I know on our podcast we do talk a lot about like really like being intentional about your actions and then also having a lot of grace. But there's one word that you've already mentioned, momentum. And that is one that I don't think I have ever thought to include in this process of really prioritizing self-care. But you've also kind of alluded to another word that I know that you're a big fan of, and that's longevity. Would you say that the journaling or like that reflective aspect really plays a large part in that momentum and longevity of progressing in that mental state?
I do. I think that sometimes if we're looking at journaling or whatever, we can get stuck in where we are and what's went wrong and what's not working. But when you can shift into where you want to go, we hear a lot like show up as the person you want to be now, like be her now. But like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot easier said than done.
Yes.
So for me, that journaling aspect is like, okay, if I want to be that person that has this like massively amazing community of supportive women that's making X amount of dollars, how is that going to feel in the moment? Like I really start from that like think, feel, do cycle.
Yep.
And how's that going to feel in my body? And what did I have to do to get there? Like I am probably not talking shit to myself every day. You know, I'm probably not living in a scarcity mindset. I am probably not dwelling on a conversation that didn't go well. So when I think about those things, I'm like, that's what I'm putting into practice. And like, be her now is showing up as the person that, yes, gives herself grace, that gives other people compassion, that lives in this place of abundance. And that's how I feel like you have to feel it in your body before you want to move forward. You know, like you're never going to go to the gym when you feel like crap. Maybe you are. Maybe you're like a unicorn that's like, I feel terrible. And maybe you do for a day or two, but like you can only, like discipline will only get you so far if you don't like what you're doing and you don't like what you're doing in regards to like how it's helping you get what you want.
Agreed.
Something like a conversation I'll have with our kids a lot that they're like, okay, mom. You know, it's like, it's about the process. It's about the journey. And they're like, whatever, you know, but like, and I've always thought that I'm like, cool. But like, I would like the $1 million.
Yep.
You know, like, I would like to feel confident, but it's like, it's about the journey because that's how you're becoming the person that can hold on to it. You know, like I don't want to, I mean, I wouldn't complain about winning $1 million lottery ticket, but you hear all the time. Here's a good example. I have a friend that is a financial advisor to professional athletes. You know, these young kids, they get all of this money and they just like spend it and blow it and they don't know what to do with it. And the reason that they have somebody like him in their lives is so it helps them plan for where they're going with that. And they're not just going to like, let it go, you know? And if we get to where we so badly just want that instant success. And, you know, Rachel Hollis uses, I've used this Rachel Hollis quote a million times because it's so accurate that it usually takes us more effort and more time to get what we want because we didn't know how much time it was going to take, because we didn't know how much effort it was going to take. And like, that is you developing the grit. That's you creating momentum. You know, it's like you create momentum when it doesn't go your way. And you keep going, you know, like you're creating momentum when you recognize that like a missed goal doesn't equate to missing the vision that you have for your life. And it's just giving you more data.
Absolutely. Like sometimes that's the scariest part is not knowing when the end is going to come or the, you know, when you're going to reach that goal. So it's like, if you knew, like had a crystal ball, we talk about that all the time. Crystal ball, that would make a lot less stressful. Right. But
yeah, but I also will say too, like if you showed up as if the results that you want are inevitable, you keep showing up. If you're like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, like that's what faith is, you know, that's what you continuing to like develop that belief in yourself and belief with action. Like like, that's how you get confident.
Yeah. No, I love that.
I like that word inevitable. But you just have so many amazing buzzwords. I'm like, momentum, longevity,
manifest the future, right?
Truly, yes.
So let's talk a little bit about like the Energy Up Collective a little bit more. And we're curious where you're going with that. I think you kind of alluded to you have some new things coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I first started in the health and fitness space, I was partnered with a health and fitness company. And then that company we got disassociated from, and I kind of had to figure out like, what am I doing? Like, I love this coaching space. I love what I'm doing. And so I got certified to become a personal trainer. I got certified, got my 200-hour yoga certification. Wow. And mostly like for me, that was like okay, I want to be qualified. I want to be qualified for the women I don't know that are coming to me, and created a space initially on Facebook, which I don't love Facebook. Yeah. But it was free. It was free.
Right.
And as it evolved, it was like, wait a second, like I want to create my own workouts for these women. Like, because so many people would come to me and I'd be like, oh, just do this. And they didn't know what to do. So it's like, okay. So then I started recording workouts and like adding them to the group. And then it was like, you know what? I need a spot where I can have videos where I can show these things and you can follow a plan. And so I had this like white label app through Kajabi, and I would upload videos and workout plans and whatever. And then at the beginning of the summer, I converted everything into the Energy Up app. So a lot of the workouts and stuff that I was creating, I created for my clients. You know, I'm like, what do you need? What do you need? What are we doing here? And like the most recent program that I created, which I will say, I started just by creating like workouts, like upper body, beginner upper body, lower body, whatever. But where I see people find the most success in workouts, especially if you're new or you're coming back to it. And that's where most people start working with me. They either have like never worked out, or they haven't worked out in a long time, or they're in like a new season of life. You know, like they just had a baby, or they just got divorced, or their kids are finally out of the house, you know, and it's like, okay, so they're at this like transition, trying to find their rhythm again.
Right.
And what I find works the best for those women is having a plan. You know, where it's like, you're busy. Like I'm nearly 40. So most of my clients are 30s, 40s, like trying to fit something in is probably not going to work. Or like making a suggestion like, hey, go walk for like 30 minutes a day. And it's like, that sounds fine, you know, whatever. But it's like, no, here's what you do for the next 21 days. You carve out 30 minutes a day and you do these exact workouts. And if you missed a day, no big deal. Pick up where you left off, commit to picking up again. That's where they stick with it. And that's where they get results, because it takes like the decision fatigue that we have as women is wild. Yeah. So we can take some of that decision out and be like, here's what you're doing. Just do this. You'll be fine. Just open up your computer, push play, knock it out. You're going to be great. And so I started creating workout calendars based on like other people's workouts, like do whatever. And then I created workouts to go along with them. And then my most recent program I dropped is called Your First 5 Days, for people that are coming back into it, where it's like significant guided workouts with like really good form cues to help you figure out like what you're doing and where you should feel this in your tummy, and, you know, like where you're feeling this. If you're feeling it in your lower back, like no bueno. Kind of walking you through day by day. And that's a precursor to the program I'm launching in November called the Burn and Breathe program. And it's a signature program I've developed after you've probably seen all of the things about high cortisol and like why we need to be like lifting weights and doing strength training for our metabolic health, and like muscle mass helps you burn fat. You know, I work out, I lift probably 4 or 5 times a week. And like, I think we're all afraid of like getting huge. I'm like, I don't have huge muscles. And, you know, I hate cardio. I have cardio in there because we need it. But I also have a couple days of mobility and primal movement, because at like talking about longevity, it's like thinking about, okay, this is what I think about all the time. Like, okay, when I'm 90, I want to be able to like get myself up and down the stairs. I want to be able to go to the bathroom by myself. And where I see that in a lot of older women is like we lose bone density every year after 35,
Wow.
we start losing mobility because we're not focusing on our balance, you know? And so there's a lot of balance work and mobility work. And it's kind of a combination of yoga and primal movement.
Okay.
But it's 30 minutes every day, knockout. It feels really good. It creates that rhythm in your day and it just gets you moving, you know, and kind of coupling that with eating nutrient dense foods. I think we've grown up in the world of, you know, everyone wants to be skinny and I'm over it. Like I was talking in my stories yesterday about like, I used to work out to be skinny and like have the abs and to like look good. And I'm not complaining to like look good in the dress. Don't get me wrong. But the primary like method of me working out and moving my body now is thinking about like, I need the strength training. Like that's what gets me to work out on days that I don't want to. I'm like, my bones will thank me. I don't want to fall and break my hip. You know, I just want to like,
be healthy, right?
yeah, I want to be independent as long as possible. Like I am happily married, by the way, but like I want to be able to take care of myself and I don't want to be like a burden to my children. Not that my parents are a burden to me, but it's just something I think about as I'm aging. And it's like, I'm going to move my body and do something anyway. So if I'm going to create something, I want it to be like something really truly designed for women over the age of 35. And that's exactly what it is.
I love what you're promoting because honestly, I don't think you guys ever watch Friends, and it's the episode where Rachel and Phoebe are going to go for a run together. And then like Rachel is like doing like the cute little jog, whereas Phoebe is running like chaotic through the park. I think about that scene when I think about myself as somebody working out. I don't have working out in my personal life. In fact, I don't know if I've ever worked out a day in my life. And so hearing that fitness online is a thing, that was a totally new concept to me. I had no idea. And it actually excites me because it kind of sounds like I could participate and like ease myself into a fitness world where no one can see me running chaotically like Phoebe. Like your 5-day program, like to me, I'm like 5 days sounds like something I could totally wrap my mind around in my own home with a plan laid out for me and really try that out. And so then my next question then is for somebody like me is, I've recently learned in my hobby, you know, journey here that I kind of do really enjoy the community. How do you get the community across in the online perspective versus being like actually in a gym?
I feel like most of my people have come to me via social media, which is
amazing.
I would say in the beginning, it was friends and family, and now it's social media. And it's from women that are like seeking connection with like-minded people, and they're not finding it in their immediate circle or maybe in their community. You know, I have a lot of women that are from St. Louis in my group, but I have like women in Philly and LA and and on the coast, you know, so it's like, it's just, you create community based on people that have similar goals that you do and similar desires, the people that like tick the same way you do. And I think our community specifically is pretty focused on women that are wanting growth, like continual growth, like always wanting to level themselves up. And I go back to this retreat and I know this was like an in-person thing, but it stemmed from my online space. You know, like we got together in person, but every single person I knew from online, like all of them I met online. And all of them had said like they just couldn't find something in their circle and they needed something extra. They wanted that extra accountability. And I think you find the space by trying to like drop the boundaries a little bit, you know? And I think it sounds so silly, but it's like you say, I have like posts in this feed within my app, you know, and listen, nobody wants to like work out for an hour and suck it up and do it. But like when you crush that workout, you're like, yes, like somebody celebrate this with me, you know, because when you go to the gym, like, you're like, yeah, but like nobody's there being like,
right.
Good job, you know? So it's like that creates an incredible community where like you're being rooted for oftentimes we feel they don't know what you want. Now it's what I see happening now that I'm like, they're all doing similar workouts is they're like, oh my God, can anybody else not walk down the stairs today?
Yeah.
There's just like, you create that connection on stuff that you don't know who else you would talk to about it.
Yeah. No, I love that. So, so I guess if you want to tell us where everybody can find you and where the best place is to communicate, if they want to get in touch with you or join your program.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram a lot because I don't love the Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm Mallory Ruth Fit on Instagram. And then for anything and everything I have going on, you can find it on my website at malloryruth.com.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Yes. Well, I highly recommend anyone checking her socials out. I actually was, like I said, lurking on your socials for the last couple of days. And what I really like is when you go on your social account, you get exactly the same Mallory that you're getting in this episode. You're a very honest, upfront person. Like I calling back to, there's a post that you made where you actually show how, you're a very fit person, but you even kind of took the moment to show an area of yourself that maybe you feel a little self-conscious about, and you kind of showed that front and center in the post. And you're like, there's still areas of you that might want more love, and that's okay. And I just think that I really do think that you put out a vibe that really embraces community and really embraces positivity, not even just for the body, but for the mindset. And I just think it's really awesome to have you not only be a part of our show and a part of our community now, but also just as somebody who is in the local St. Louis community, I'm very appreciative to have a voice like you out there. So we are so thankful that you got to be on the show with us today, Mallory.
Yeah, this has been awesome. This was easy conversation. So
great. All right. Well, that's all we have today. And we'll make sure to put Mallory's information on our description for our website. So make sure to check her out and follow us along on all of our socials, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Happiness. Be sure to leave a review and rating. And for a little extra Erin and Tam fun, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Pinterest for behind-the-scenes footage of our journey to find happiness.